Welcome to the Digging Deep ATV MX podcast with your host, hailing from Kaukauna, Wisconsin, riding a CST Tires SSI decals traveling back Yamaha YFC 450R, four-time ATV Motocross National Champion, number 25, Cody Jensen.
What's up, everybody?
We're back.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Digging Deep ATV MX podcast, episode 183 of the Digging Deep ATV MX podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, in stock and available for purchase today at shop.csttires.com. I'm your host, Cody Jansen, saying hello to our more than 304,000 monthly Digging Deep listeners in all 151 countries in which you are listening. And this is our Digging Deep Baja Acres 2026 race review show. Officially part 2 if you listened to last week's conversation with event winner Brandon Hoag. And in this episode, Billy, Brian, and I will break down the ATV Motocross National Championship's first ever trip to Baja Acres, completing our coverage of Brandon Hoag's first win, Joel Hetrick clinching his legendary 7th championship, and so much more as we dive into the dogfight that is the 2026 Pro-Am title battle, Billy and I lining up together in 25 plus, and all the action, storylines, and talking points that made the weekend one to remember. So let's dig in. But first, let's quickly shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, DP Brakes, and Ultimate Poly Products. UPP Racing, our choice when it comes to case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com. Support all the great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATV MC banner on our website. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATV MC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATV MC banner on our website. By using our specific link, we get a small percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts you need anyway. And did you know you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATV MC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATV MC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. Lastly, shout out to all of our donors, and if you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me Coffee donation links on our website. Major thanks to all who have donated, of course. Now, if you can't donate, but you still want to help us out, you can leave us a rating or a review on iTunes and Spotify because that helps us out a bunch too. Now, it's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep.
Let's go!
All right, guys, back for yet another race review episode of the Digging Deep ATV MX podcast. This time, ATV Motocross's first ever trip to Baja Acres in the great state of Michigan. And joining us once again is the dynamic duo of Billy Cottage and Brian Jenkins. Welcome back, guys. I want to start by asking you both this, because we've got in the rhythm of, asking for your biggest takeaways from the weekend. But I would think that Brandon Hoag winning his first ever overall as a professional would be pretty much all of our biggest takeaways from the weekend. That's pretty much a slam dunk. So I want to start this way. What are your thoughts on Baja? First trip there was a place like where I come from in Wisconsin that we hear it mentioned so much here from the bike guys and stuff. It's not that far away for us. It's even closer for you guys, but like coming from Wisconsin, a fall trip to Baja for the Baja Brawl is something that every Wisconsin motocross guy talks about. So to have an ATV Motocross National at Baja Acres, I thought was something really cool coming in. And for me, and obviously, spoiler alert, the racing was absolutely fantastic. But like the experience, I thought too was phenomenal, from, the track personnel to the facility to the track. I thought it was awesome. So starting with you guys, what were your takeaways from the weekend as far as the event itself goes? Brian, we'll start with you.
I thought that the facility was very nice. It seemed really organized. I really liked the announcing that they had going on. You could hear it. There was a lot to offer there. The guys, weren't boring. They were pretty funny and kept things lively. The track, I like how the track was so long and overall, the layout was really good. I felt like the racing was great. A lot of comparisons are made to Red Bud, and I feel like it probably lived up to that in my mind. That it was something that, as the day got longer, obviously it got more challenging and developed. And a testament to that is during the pro races, the guys quit jumping stuff towards the end because it was getting so gnarly.
Yeah.
So if that's any testament to what they were dealing with, when those guys start casing stuff and knuckling things and decide, that's it, that tells you that track developed pretty brutally and took its effect on everybody. So I really enjoyed it. What I would like to see, I got to talk to a couple of the people at Sign Up, and it might have been one of the owners and the guy that was doing the podium interviews. And the one thing I would like to see, though, and I kind of razzed them about, was, they kept promoting about how much they loved ATVs and wanted us to come back and was hoping for all these things. So I hit them with the, hey, what, do you guys have practice? Do you guys have races? And they're like, well, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like the sound of that already. You got, the Baja Brawl that they're talking about, one per year. I was like, that don't cut it. You're not supporting. I'd like to see more support. And, maybe this was the fire, though, that starts that, because I feel like we had a great weekend. I don't know of any major issues. I heard of a couple little things that might have went on that was kind of misunderstandings. But other than that, like I said, I think it was a positive weekend and it went well. So I hope that they can continue that and add a lot more for the ATVs. And I think that their draw would be even bigger.
Yeah, agreed with all that. Billy, it just felt right. It felt right. And I said this to multiple people throughout the weekend. It just felt right to be in Michigan on a weekend where traditionally we were at Red Bud. That was rad.
It was super cool. And I agree with pretty much everything Brian said. We talked a lot through the weekend. And first of all, the facility is incredible, beautiful. Really cool. The track was really cool through the trees and stuff, but you could still see well. And the dirt did remind me a lot of Red Bud. One thing I really liked was we got to park together because they have the designated parking spots and you can do that ahead of time. I think that's really smart because then you don't got people scattered everywhere. There's not people trying to save spots and all that stuff. The racing was fun. We said about the big hits and getting rough and the pros even rolling some stuff. And it was pretty neat to see. And even spots up on top of that hill, there was 4 or 5 lines up there.
Yeah.
Where the track was wide, not ever really having big quad stuff there. I understand the track's a little different for bikes and things, but where the track was wide enough, there was a lot of lines out there, and some of them came together, and certain times it was hard to pass and things, but that's with anywhere really. But yeah, it was fun, and they seemed really, really happy with us being there. I talked to the announcer for a while. He called me up in the booth, and me and Dad stood up there, and it was really, you could see super good, so that was cool. We talked to him for a while, and he was just saying how impressive it was because he had never really seen the quad guys. And I was sitting with Joel Saturday evening. I don't know if it was the owner or who he was, came over and said the fastest bike lap time ever there was on a fresh prep track.
Mm-hmm.
And he said in the rough, Joel's lap was 1.5 seconds faster.
Oh.
And he said, I don't know what to say other than that was effing impressive. And he shook his hand and he got back on the tractor and he left.
Wow. That's crazy. Cause you think about legitimately on a sand track is where a dirt bike can really flex their muscles typically over an ATV. Yep. The way that they can float across things. So that is something, but maybe I shouldn't be surprised because the lap for lap, those videos that you've seen with Roxon and Joel at Red Bud.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense, but Joel is an animal. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. That's impressive, man.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's something. That's cool. I thought the facility was incredible. I thought the track was awesome. I seemingly enjoyed the track the more the more we rode it, the more I liked it. I don't know why. I felt like you found some intricacies with the racetrack. And I did like how, and I talked to Chad about this because Chad Weenan, obviously we know this, but for the listeners, Chad rode on Friday with us. I talked to him about the fact that like on one side of the track, it's almost hard packed and slower and tight in the trees and kind of buffed almost. And then, then the other side of the racetrack, like Billy was just talking about, up and down the, the ravine, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, the track opens up and it's, big. And that's the, where you've seen all the videos of people hitting the big jumps and stuff. It had very different characteristics to one side of the racetrack to the other, which I thought was really cool. Like it was very different from one side to the other. And yes, a little tight. And there was plenty of people that talked about it being one lined, I guess, if you got two people doing the same lap times. That being said, no matter what track you're riding on, unless it's something really out of the norm,
there's always a really dominant.
Well, and not only that, but like you're going to set up a pass. Like if you have one really good spot, you're going to set it up 3 straightaways earlier and you're going to get as close as you can to try to make it happen there. So I don't know. I loved it. I thought the track was awesome. Selfishly, like from where I come from, like every single race we ever go to, we have to go through Chicago and that whole mess. So like at this race, for the first time ever in my entire life, going to a national, we didn't have to go through Chicago. We didn't have to go south. We went north through the upper Michigan and, crossed the Mackinac Island Bridge and down that way. And that was really cool. So all in all, man, it was awesome. And I've been chomping at the bit to talk about the weekend because there was so much going on too. Like the track was awesome. Facility was awesome. People were great. But then, Joel's on the hunt for his 7th title. Obviously we know what happens. We just talked to Brandon on the episode previous to this. We all know what happened there. So yeah, a very action-packed weekend. And it was a blast to have the 3 of us all in one spot and the photos at the gate and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Like we were sitting on the gate for the listeners. Billy and I were sitting on the gate. Brian was nearby as the second qualifier for the pros was going on. So I didn't get to do the play-by-play for that one, but we were kind of taking that in and had a blast together at the racetrack. And that was something that was really cool. So let's get into the racing. So as we shift gears into that, Brian, I think that we should probably put more stock in everything that you have to say on this episode over what Billy and I have to say, because you were one of our 4 fantasy winners at Baja. So, I mean, you really knew your stuff. You had it dialed, man.
Wow. I wasn't aware of that, but it's
shows
crazy.
How much he cares. Shows he's like, yeah, whatever.
No, I'm like, oh man. Yeah. Well, I've been trying to catch up because I feel like Billy's been kicking my butt since the beginning of the year and you're stomping everybody. So I was like, man, I got to figure something out. So, I was trying to go with the local boys or people that I thought were starting to come alive here at the end of the season and have been picking up the pace and whatnot. So, I mean, if I got a little lucky, I'll take it. Trust me. I need all the help I can get.
Gosh, there's room to move now, and I think what we're going to do for the final round, by the time this episode comes out in the next couple of days, I will have it all ironed out. But I think we're going to do WMX. I think we're going to do it more of a wild card style. I think with Lane Fryer riding as well as she's riding, she's kind of the pick. Like, I feel like if we make it maybe 3rd or 4th or something like that. So there will be points to make up there. And the pro sport pick is incredible. Like that, there's so many points there. If you nail that pick, man, there's so many points to make.
Major wild card possibility.
And then, I think what's going to happen for the final tier at Briarcliff, I think that there's going to be a couple names on the panel here that are going to be in that. I think we're going to get that vet race involved. So
that's what I was going to say. I want that vet race involved at Briarcliff because that, or even if you slipped in a crazy 2-stroke, but we don't know the lineup of that.
Right,
but the vet race, that would be sick.
Yeah. So that's the plan. So by the time this episode comes out, people should be able to, start picking their teams and should be exciting. But yeah, Brian, you got her all dialed. So we're just going to let you talk for the next hour or so here.
Nobody wants to hear that.
But so qualifying, guys. And like I said, I wasn't able to sit and watch the times, but like I had people coming up to me like, you'd never believe how close they are right now, because Joel, who was very, very fast in that first qualifier, substantially faster than anybody else, else on the racetrack. Second qualifier, he's sitting with a 144.3, and Max Lindquist, typically not good qualifier guy, it runs a 144.6. So he's just 0.3 off. And Brandon's right there as well, a half second back of Joel with a 144.8. So could tell that we were in for a fun day if qualifying is any indication there. Mason Jackson and Zach Decker, the big five here, rounded out the top five in qualifying. So that gave us a good look at that it was going to be tight. But guys, I don't know that you could ever imagine how tight this race day was really going to end up being when all is said and done. So first moto, we're obviously on alert for what's going to happen with Joel here. He needs to beat Brandon in this moto to secure that 7th title with 3 motos remaining in the season here. And it started off right where Joel would want to be, ripping the whole shot in this first moto. We've literally seen it 1,000 times, and you think it's off to the races. Brandon is in tow. He's right there. And Mason Jackson as well. He was sitting in third and stuck with those guys early. And he was another guy that we were very, like, we've had this circle. We've been talking about this since the beginning of the year, what he was going to do at Baja. But Brandon Hoag was right there. And guys, you know, for the people that weren't there, and maybe the people that didn't see exactly how close it was, Brandon Hoag stayed right with Joel. And he had sections like those tight sections we were talking about leading up to the finish line inside the trees. I mean, he had stuff figured out there that Joel couldn't even figure out at the time. And you could, and I said this to both of you over the course of the weekend, but we were watching Joel. I think you could, and I said to Brandon when we had him on the show, you could see Joel get a little flustered. Like, how is all of a sudden he even closer to me than he had been previously? He just had some sections really figured out. And Billy and I talked about this over the course of the weekend. So it goes from 2 bike lengths to 1 bike length. It's 1 second, 1 second. I mean, 8 laps in, it's a 1 second gap between these two guys. I mean, they are right there. It was incredible. It was unlike anything we've seen in as long as I can remember. As long as Joel Hetrick's been winning titles, I don't know that we saw somebody stalk him the way that we saw Brandon Hoag stalk him in that first moto. I'll let you guys jump in there. Billy, you can jump in there, but it was really something to see.
Yeah. If it had happened, the only other person that could have done it was Chad.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's it. And it was funny you said that about that section, because after the moto, I was with Joel and he like kind of did like a little look and he's like, what the hell was he doing over there? Like, cause he's like, I kept glancing, but he couldn't figure it out. It was fun to watch. Both motos were good, but that first moto, there were some battles going on and it's kind of fun to actually see a battle up front also. So, you know, you watch them guys, and then once they go by, you get to watch all the rest of them, you know. It was pretty good. It was fun to watch.
Well, and Brian, as we get your opinion there, and Billy, I think, and we talked about this privately between us over the course of the weekend, but it was like, as Joel was searching to figure out what Brandon was doing, he was doing more than he needed to do. He was trying to cut across ruts and figure out, and like you said, Brandon was just going through the corner. He wasn't overthinking it. He was just ripping in and ripping out, and he was making up time.
Yep.
But yeah, that was crazy to see. Brian, that first moto, again, was a sight to see. There was battles going on throughout the racetrack, like Billy said. But again, to get to lap 8, lap 9, I mean, it was a 1.5 second gap. Spoiler alert, when Joel Hetrick hangs on to win the moto. I shouldn't say hangs on, but wins the moto. The gap was never bigger than a second and a half, unlike anything we've seen in a very, very, very long time. So Brian, what were your thoughts as you were watching that first moto go down?
So where I got to watch that moto from was over on the hill by the bigger hits. I was over there in the shade, one of the trees there. Yeah. And one of the things that I personally noticed, I couldn't see the other side of the track really well, but it looked to me as if whatever Joel was doing from like the tabletops after the finish line, from there all the way to when he jumped down the hill to come into the big sweeper before the big hit, that's where like he would pull the gap, but he would let off the gas sooner. I don't want to say he was braking, but he would let off the gas to get into the rut that he wanted for that big like bank turn before the big hit. Mm-hmm. And that was where I felt like Brandon came on. Brandon, whatever he did from there all the way to just past the finish line, he was on Joel's bumper every time. Like, I don't know if Joel missed the setup in those S turns over in the shade. Like, you had that little tabletop, and then you had that that tight right, or kind of like it hooked and then it was tight right and then a quick left into that double to put you into the turn. And Brandon was killing it over there, because like he would make up a lot of time going into that big bank turn, and then obviously they'd stay about the same over the big jump, but then going down into that turn he just slowly would creep up onto, and by the time he got through those S turns he was right on his bumper. And like you guys said, it had to be frustrating because Joel would pull out and then it was right there. It was like he couldn't lose his shadow. And they if you'd have changed the colors on them, you couldn't have been able to tell those guys apart, because it was like mirror image of what they were doing. Other than that, obviously Brandon was pulling up in those turns over there. So I like I said, I don't know if Joe was just overriding or overthinking, or if he kind of missed the setup a little bit, or if Brandon, they found something maybe. But yeah, that first moto was so intense. And then Billy, your boy Max, holy cow, I hope he washed his bike before he left Baja, because if not, I bet you he took 50 pounds of sand home with them. I know he had to have that radiator packed. He had so much sand. Like he has not done himself any favors with starts at all. So, by you saying that, at Pleasure Valley, you motivated him by, kind of like putting him in the back and making him ride forward. Apparently he likes that, because he was on fire too. I thought him and Mason was going to be a hell of a race there at the end, because he got very close. So that was really interesting to see as well.
Not to take any credit for that, but there, when they went out for that second qualifier, I went over to him and I was like, just pretend like I already screwed up. And he started laughing. He's like, is that how we're going to play today? I said, yeah, just pretend like I already screwed up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, to tie a bow on the Brandon comments, he had said, and I thought it was fascinating when we talked to him on the episode that released prior to this one, that he said, I was bound and determined to stay with Joel. I was not going to be just comfortable with finishing second. I mean, eventually they do check out. It's a 2-horse race at the front of this thing. Mason kept pace early. Track went away, got rougher. I mean, like it was an absolute war out there. And Brandon was bound and determined to stay right with Joel. And I thought that was a huge takeaway for me, because on like as rough of a track as we've seen all year long, at the very end of this race, all the things, Brandon still never gave him an inch. And he did talk about the fact when I talked to him that coming out of corners, he felt like Joel's bike was better. It followed his power to the ground situation was better. And Brian, I think that might be kind of what you're hitting on too, because Brandon said no matter what he did, Joel pulled him coming out of the corners on that first half of the racetrack. And Brandon on the other half of the racetrack, and he pointed this out, was just racing into those corners harder, whether it was a setup thing or you're able to gauge the guy, which you are able to do as a guy who's following at times. But yeah, he had it dialed. So like you guys said, the battle to watch late in that first moto was the battle for third and fourth, with Max racing up through the pack. He made a bunch of passes. He gets Mason Jackson almost in sight. It's about a 4-second gap by the time Max gets to fourth. What was fourth? Ends up getting to the back of Mason. And for those final couple laps, I mean, they are absolutely glued to each other. Credit to Mason. He didn't give Max an inch, and Mason ends up holding on to finish third in the moto. But at the finish, again, 1.5 second lead, never bigger than that. But Joel Hetrick wins that first moto and is able to seal the deal on a 7th title. And so much to be said about Brandon and how well he rode, goes on to obviously do what he does in the second moto, wins his first overall, all the things. But the fact that we're sitting here with Joel Hetrick having won 7 titles at this point, just one away from tying, obviously, the record with Gary Denton and Chad Wienen, that's a pretty incredible thing. Because 15 years ago, we were sitting here and every single person always said the exact same thing. No matter what you think about how these titles compare, nobody would have ever thought that anybody was going to get anywhere close to Gary Denton's records. And now 15 years later, we have one guy that's tied it and another guy that's 1 year away from tying it. And that's a pretty crazy thing to wrap your head around. A lot of things have changed in the last 15 years.
That's wild to think what we're witnessing right now. And we got to see that era. We got to watch Chad, and go through everything that he went through, Suzuki, Kawasaki, and then getting on the Yamaha and all the things that happened. And watched him develop that program, and obviously watched Joel come up through with all the people that he was with and develop and kind of get the racecraft out in for that pro class, and stock Chad the way he did, and like it's been a hell of a journey. That's pretty cool to be able to have witnessed all that, because I know not everybody there has seen all the races and seen the development, or been able to see when the factories were involved, and the things like the WPSA and then the nationals with when they were really big and all the involvement. So that was pretty special, and what we're witnessing right now, all these years of riding and racing, and we're looking at 3 guys during that entire time that's able to be at the top of that list. Pretty special.
Very, very special. Billy, and I always tell myself, it's so easy to take the guys that we've seen over, the Chads and the Joels for granted, because obviously they're friends of all of ours. Like they're very accessible to us, but if there was a Mount Rushmore you built today of ATV motocross racers, those 2 guys headline the list. And however many years from now, we're going to think back on that. We got to be in the absolute heyday of those 2 guys as eras and legacies. And it's hard not to take it for granted, because we've been seeing it basically for the last 2 decades now.
Yeah. And it's cool to see that we all got to see the complete progression of the 2 greatest to ever do it from beginning to end. You know what I mean? Well, not end for Joel yet, but yeah, to see it from wild, young, crazy, both of them, to perfectly polished. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was kind of cool. You get to see it with Chad first, and then got to see it with Joel now. And yeah, it definitely is something special. There's not a whole lot you could say to explain. Yeah, I have really enjoyed watching it happen.
Yeah, it's been cool. Like I said, I think I heard umpteen people, and maybe I was one at the time, say, nobody will ever get to 8. There's no chance that anybody ever gets to 8. And here we are with Chad Wienen having 8, and Joel now being on the cusp of 8 after wrapping up the 2026 ATV Motocross National Championship in that first moto. So Hetrick, Hoag, Jackson, Lindquist, Norris is your top 5 in that opening moto. We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. The official tire choice of Digging Deep, CST tires are the choice of ATV racing's elite on the track, in the woods, and every other terrain. CST tires swept the ATV racing world in 2022 as Joel Hetrick, Bryson Neal, and Bo Barron rode their Pulse MXR and Pulse HT tires to an ATV Pro Motocross title, GNCC XC1 Pro title, and 10th ATV Pro Works Racing title, respectively. Led by champion Joel Hetrick and podium contenders Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Nick Janusa, CST's Pulse MXR tire is the most trusted tire in ATV motocross today. Available in soft and standard compounds, the Pulse MXR offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. And did I mention they have a contingency program as well? Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. The best of the best choose CST. Do you? You know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATV MX podcast, as the Yamaha YFZ 450R is the official ATV of Digging Deep. In a move started by 8-time ATV MX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, who with his next championship will become the winningest champion in ATV motocross history, we are living in ATV racing's YFZ 450R era. Alongside Wienen, 7-time GNCC XC1 Pro ATV National Champion Walker Fowler welcomed a pair of new champions to the Yamaha Champions Club, as the podium-proven Yamaha YFZ 450R proved to be the winning choice for Joel Hetrick and Bryson Neal. This unprecedented success for the YFZ 450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the clear fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has resulted in a complete Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Evident by the continuation of Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program, Yamaha riders will once again cash in on payout and prize opportunities in 2023, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ 450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com. Follow Yamaha Outdoors, as well as the new Blue Crew official channel on social media, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals, your way. SSI Decals sets the standard with the best looking decals, graphics kits, and vinyl wraps in the industry. Established in 1947, SSI took shape as an offshoot of their parent company by doing a little work for local pro Chad Wienen. Nearly 2 decades later, and fueled by a passion for ATVs, the company has flourished into one of ATV Moto's most recognized brands. From ATV Motocross, SSI has expanded into graphics and design work for top racers in GNCC, Works Racing, Pro Motocross and Supercross, Off-Road, and more, headlined by 8-time world champion Top Fuel drag racer Clay Milliken. Whether your project is big or small, SSI Decals will make your identity stick. Get started today at ssidecals.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 for 10% off at checkout. Things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATV MX podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you? So guys, Moto 2, I think I can probably collectively say for everybody that was at the racetrack, and people were saying this to me at the line, if Brandon Hoag gets the whole shot, things are going to be really, really, really interesting. Now, the part that you couldn't probably encapsulate is the fact that you didn't know what you were going to get from Joel, because Brandon said as much too. You didn't know if Joel was going to empty the absolute tank because now the championship was wrapped up, or Brandon even pondered like, oh, maybe he's just going to log this race and, you know, whatever happens, happens, and not that big of a deal. He won the championship, even though I think we all know that that's not the way that it was going to go. But as we're sitting on the line for that second moto, and Brandon said that he was so locked in. He said, if anything was going on around me, I would have never even known it because I was so locked in that I knew if I got this start, things were going to happen. Gate drops. He nails the perfect hole shot, rips the start, and he's leading. And he said he was coming out of the first corner and he was thinking, okay, this is my opportunity. And he said he didn't love the way his first couple laps went. He didn't feel that great. And he was able to, kind of get past that and find a flow. And off to the races he went. I'm sure he would have liked to have had Joel, be a couple spots back. Joel was right there in the 2 spot very early in this race, but it was Brandon Hoag out front. Max Lindquist got a much better start in this one. He was P4 very early, pretty quickly got into the 3rd spot and was going with them too. And I'll let you guys comment on that because it was a kind of a 3-rider pack actually for the starting stages anyway of this moto. And that was fun to see. So Billy, you must have not antagonized him enough in that going into the second moto, because he actually got a good start.
Yeah, he did, which I was happy to see. And it's funny you said that because I actually talked to all of them at some point after that moto. And then I was talking to just Joel and Max at one point, and they were talking about, which apparently somebody has it on video. I haven't seen it online yet. Okay. But everybody talked about Joel, almost eating it going up the hill towards the big sweeper.
Yeah.
And Max was like laughing and saying thanks because that was entertaining. It took his mind off the race for a second, And Joel's like, yeah, that happened. He's like, and when I saved it, he's like, at that point, I was kind of just like, you know what, that's it. I'm not going to eat it for this or whatever, kind of thing. He's like, we're coming around for the 2 board anyways. It'll be fine. He's like, we come around and he's like, Gary puts 5 to go on the pit board. He's like, well, shit, if I got a 5 left, all right, I'm gonna try and go. and Max starts laughing, and Max was like, yeah, I saw you turn it back on. He's like, and I thought to myself, really? This late in the moto, you're going to do this to me now? He's like, I kept you so close. He's like, I was learning so much, and then you were just gone again.
And you could see that. That's crazy to think about. And we heard from Brandon's perspective too, where he's like, man, is he really just packing it in? Is he really just packing it in? And then all of a sudden he's back on his bumper again.
Yep.
So Brian, did you see the mistake that Joel made? So, we're already late in the moto at that point. Joel had shaded Brandon for the most part. And because at the halfway point, Hetrick is about when he made that mistake, was about the halfway point, because Brandon's lead swelled to over 3 seconds at that point. And later we find out, because I didn't see it from where I was, Billy, I don't think you would have saw it then either. No. But it was obvious that Joel made a mistake. And then we hear that it was a really big, hairy mistake.
They said he landed with his feet on the seat, like in a crouched position. and had to like get resituated back down on the foot pegs and keep going
up that rough hill.
Right? Yep. Yeah. At the top of the hill, he said he like came back down and his feet were on top of the seat.
When he disappeared out of my sight, he was starting to drift sideways and it looked like he was coming off the quad, and then he was out of sight. And I'm like, I ran over to the other side to see if he was going to be jumping down the hill, because I didn't know if he stayed on the quad. I had no idea what happened. It looked gnarly though. Like he took a heck of a buck, and then for him to hold on, I was like, okay, that was impressive. And like you guys said, at that point in time, I was like, okay, he's just going to ride it on in. And then he turned it back on, and I'm like, oh, this isn't over. I mean, when the mishap happened, I mean, he was right there on Brandon's bumper. So I thought, wow. But yeah, that was unbelievable for him to be able to charge, and especially on that track, because that track was brutal.
And especially that far into the moto and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
to fire it up late on a track that was that rough. I mentioned that earlier. On a track that's that rough, to have the fight and the ability and the want to turn it back up one more time. But that's Joel, right? Like nothing should surprise us there. That being said, like how seldom, it's been a very long time where it's been required for him to do that late in a moto like that, you know?
Yeah.
So unreal. So he makes that mistake. Brandon's lead is at 3.1 seconds. And then we see this push from Joel. And I said this to Brandon, and I love Joel, right? Like we go back, farther than Brandon and I go back. But I'm like, man, like being that, we cover these races and, we tell the stories of these races and all the things. I'm like, man, I really don't want Brandon to give it away at the end, But, it goes from 3 seconds to Joel had cut it to 1.5 for a couple laps. It gets down to 1 second. Then it's a half a second as the two board is set to come out, and it's getting really close. And you're seeing Joel really put the pressure on. And I started to get to the point where I'm like, gosh, it might be inevitable. Like for those guys who were running the same lines, because Joel even talked about the fact that, like, I don't know where I would have passed him.
Yeah. And
Brandon very much believes, and, he was steadfast and like he had it. No matter what he had to do, he had it. That's his belief. But two lap board is about to come out, is set to come out. I'm literally typing this in my phone as for the play-by-play. And that's when we see Joel's four-wheeler roll to a stop right before the uphill where he made the mistake earlier. He didn't even get off his quad for a while. He just sat there and, took it all in. And now it's funny, and I'll let you guys comment on this and what your thoughts were at that time. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, Brandon's going to have 2 full laps to process the fact that he's going to win this moto. He's going to win an overall, all the things. And he was so spun out, in listeners of this episode that came out previous to this one, episode 182, would know this, but he was so spun out by the fact that Joel put this big push on after he got that gap and thought he was safe, that he was so scared that might happen again. He thought Joel was lurking back there just a second or 2 or 3 back, that he never gave up. He thought that Joel was right there the whole time until he crossed the finish line. So maybe that was a good way to pass those last couple laps there. So here I am thinking he's taking it in dream ride. That's not the case. But guys, what were your thoughts? Brian, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts when you saw Joel roll to a stop and know that, we're not going to see this late push go all the way to the finish line in this moto? And it started to come into sight that Brandon was going to get his first win.
Yeah, when he jumped that table and he sent it, like I said, I felt like he was right there. And I was wondering the same thing at that point, like, where's he going to set this up? Where's he going to try and make this pass? What's he going to do? And I seen him land that. And then it was just like, I don't know, there was just a weird moment there where I was like, something wasn't right. And I seen him just kind of like sit upright, almost relax. And then I seen him looking down, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder if something, went on the suspension or what happened there. I wasn't really sure at first what went on. Right. But like you said, he just sat there for a while. Like I don't know if he was in disbelief or just trying to figure out, like, okay, can I get this going? What's going on? What should I look at first, or what was happening? But when he was sitting there, I thought, oh man, it's cool for Brandon that, he's where he's at. He's got this lead. He's going to get this win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt horrible for Joel, because I wanted to see it play out. Like I
all of us did.
I wanted to see it play out all the way to the checkers so that there was just nothing left for anybody to say. It would have been like, okay, this played out on the track.
Yep.
This is what we got. This is what happened, good for everybody type of thing.
Because you still have people saying, well, was it straight up? I mean, yes, it was straight up.
I mean, yeah, because everything counts when it comes to that, your bike prep, your everything, because you got to make it to the finish line.
And they had went 10 laps like that, right? Like, it's not like it was 4 laps in. But
and what's so crazy is
I wanted to see it play out too. Go ahead.
I'm sure Brandon did too.
I wanted it to play out for both of them, really.
Yes.
Just so that both of them had that peace of mind.
Even in the moment, Brian, I thought to myself, I'm like, here we go with the comments that'll be made.
Yeah. I did too. And I'm like, they're going to try and downplay this or take this away from him. And that's wrong. And, the craziest thing out of all of it, the throttle internal housing to come apart. Like, who checks that ever? Like, you literally install that there, on most of the ones I've ever had apart, there's a locking tab that you adjust the nut. Once you get everything where you want it, you bend everything over. And unless you jam something in there one time on a hard landing and blow the bearings out or the shaft, depending upon what kind you have, you literally never touch that thing ever. You don't touch it.
No.
And it's fine. It's not even like a part that I even think to service. Maybe every once in a while, I'll open it up and spray some lithium in there or something, or when I changed my cable, but I never check that nut. I never look at anything. As long as it's tight, we're good. And for that to come apart, I'm like, wow, that is the strangest thing ever.
In all the years, I've only had that happen one time, that high point years ago when I was a pro. And very seldom does that happen. Billy, what were you thinking as this goes down? Probably all the same thoughts that Brian had.
Yeah, exactly the same. I was, you're pumped for Brandon. I was bummed for Joel, but I was also bummed for Brandon. Yeah. Even though he won, that's not, if you're going to win, you don't want to win like that. He wanted to, I'm sure, even though he earned it, it's not the same as, you know what I mean? The feeling I'm sure he would have had going across the checker with Joel right behind him still. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a really unfortunate end to what was very great.
And you hypothesized right after the moto, you're like, well, if Joel got as sketchy as he did and he was almost hanging on by the throttle, right? Like he was, hanging onto it weird or whatever might have happened at the time. You're like, well, maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe he put extra stress on that throttle cable or housing or whatever.
Stop.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that played a role, but that's your thing.
I don't know. Yeah, it was, it's weird. It's weird for that thing to come out like that. If it's going to happen, you would have thought it would have been a broken cable in there, which is originally, I think, what they thought. And then they pulled the lid off. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But pretty wild.
Well, the fortunate thing, though, too, that needs mentioned is thank goodness it happened in a spot like where it did, because it could have been way worse. I mean, honestly, if you think about things like if it was going to happen, I'm happy it happened in a spot like where it did, because he didn't get hurt. Nobody else got hurt. We can learn from it and come back another day. It didn't happen on, that big sky shot hit or the downhill where it could have got really ugly or really bad really quick.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. That goes without saying, that to have it happen on a place where you're on the ground, he's okay. I mean, that puts everything into perspective. That not the way that anybody wanted that moto to end for Joel's sake, but I'm glad that we're not talking about an injury either. It's just a woulda, coulda, shoulda as far as mechanical stuff goes. So Brandon Hoag's lead ends up being a massive 22-second lead back to Max Lindquist after we lose Joel Hetrick. And Brandon Hoag goes on to win Moto2 and the overall at Baja for his first overall win as a professional. Long time coming, 6 or 7 years, and pretty cool for us to be there to see it. It was so well deserved. The dude has put together such a great season. Has just been, I feel like he's spent his whole professional career fighting to get where he is. He's relentless. A lesser guy would have probably quit, team changes and stuff breaking and not having practice quads to ride. And even now, Jeffrey Rastrelli, kind of like the night knight on a white horse or something stupid, whatever you want to say, like came in to save Brandon Hoag's racing career of sorts here. And they've mentioned a few times, these are multiple year old four-wheelers that Brandon's doing this on, and the whole deal. And it's pretty cool. The combination has been so strong. Williams Performance, PRP, obviously Dave doing an awesome job at the racetrack. Jeffrey, the whole deal, pretty darn cool. When Jeffrey came on my show, and I said this to Brandon at the start of the year, when Jeffrey came on my show and went out of his way to say, I feel like the only person that can beat Joel Hetrick is Brandon Hoag on these quads. And I'm sure there was tons of people out there that kind of rolled their eyes or, put one eyebrow up to it, like, okay. And lo and behold, he won a moto earlier in the year. Here he wins another moto, and it's the second moto, and it becomes an overall. So credit to everybody involved. Congrats to Brandon Hoag and the Australia racing team and all their supporters there. So Moto 2, Brandon Hoag, Max Lindquist. Again, we lose Joel Hetrick to the back of the pack here. So Mason Jackson ends up third, and that's the way that the overall is going to go to. Brandon Hoag goes 2-1. Max Lindquist, awesome on the day, goes 4-2. And Mason Jackson, who again, we had circled this round for him very early on in the season, goes 3-3 on the day to add to his podium streak, I guess we can call it at this point, because now it's back-to-back podiums for Mason Jackson there. Going down the rest of the list, Joel Hetrick goes 110 for fourth overall. Noah Arnold, another top five for this guy. A 7-4 on the day for fifth overall, which is incredible. Wesley Wolf ends up sixth overall, 6-5. Joey Norris goes 5-8 for seventh overall. Adam Ulrich had a really good ride in the second moto, 8-6 for eighth overall for him. Zach Decker, not the day he wanted, 9-7 for ninth overall. And Heath Hanna goes 10-9 for 10th overall. So guys, a lot of awesome things going on in this pro class. Probably goes without saying, but even just 10 guys, but we're still seeing awesome racing throughout the pack. Some of those rookies, and I don't want to just breeze by them without mentioning it, because Noah Arnold goes 7-4 for fifth overall, another top five for him. Joey Norris had something happen late in that second moto that hindered his overall, but he was in the mix. He finishes fifth in the first moto. Like these young guys, and it bleeds over into what we see on Sunday, but those guys have been riding awesome. And man, to think about the prospects of those younger guys going forward in the years to come, they're going to be in the podium mix, could be as early as next year. When you look at Noah Arnold really finding his footing in the pro class like he is.
Go ahead, Billy. I know you got something.
No, it's cool to see. He ended up, there was a pretty good battle there at the end for him to get that fourth, right? Who did he,
with Wesley.
Okay. I was going to say, I knew it was somebody there that came
and
down.
that's what I think. I think Norris was in the mix there as well. And then something happened to him because he went from being right in that mix of right around the top five to, falling back a little ways and really hurting his overall, because he had a fantastic first moto. I think in the first moto, he raced up to and through Wesley,
which is a hard thing to do.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Cause actually you and I were standing on the race or, next to the racetrack. And I said, that is one place I would not want to be. That's one guy I don't want to have to mess with. So that's a noble effort by any of those guys racing with Wesley Wolf there. And I mentioned Pro-Am, and we can kind of maybe start to mention that. So tying a bow on the pro class, going into the finale, pretty much that top five in points is pretty much figured out. And Noah Arnold pretty much has Rookie of the Year wrapped up essentially. I doubt, unless something catastrophic happened, there's not really going to be any movement in that top five in the points. Joel Hetrick obviously has the title won already. Brandon Hoag starting to really separate himself in the second spot. Max Lindquist in third. Mason Jackson is the fourth place guy and kind of has been the fourth place guy. And Zach Decker started the season very, very strong. And in recent races has lost a little distance there, is going to probably end up fifth in points. But then shifting gears to that Pro-Am class, our obviously top amateur class, the motos there on Sunday were pretty much an encapsulation of what this championship has been so far on the season, where Joey Norris and Noah Arnold are just taking swings back and forth at each other, taking turns, because Noah Arnold, and we know that Joey Norris won the previous race at Pleasure Valley. He needed to do that to stay in the mix and keep this a fight. Yes. And Noah Arnold goes out and wins the first moto, pretty much going away. Joey Norris comes out and gets the whole shot and wins the second moto. So that 2-1 is good enough for the overall there. Noah Arnold goes 1-2. And that means for overalls and second place finishes, after you take their one throwout out that they get, it is a dead, even, perfect tie going into the finale at Briarcliff between the two guys that have been racing each other forever, the two Ohio kids, Noah Arnold, Joey Norris, tied going into the finale to see what's going to happen for this Pro-Am title. That's a pretty cool thing. Like, to think about what that's going to be like on Sunday at Briarcliff, I cannot wait for that action.
I think that's going to be really fun to watch. And I don't know if you've seen it online. I know I caught something earlier that Jeff printed up the shirts. It's got the Ohio, Joey and Noah on it. And I thought, oh my gosh, their home track, just all the things, and it's going to be decided right there. So I can't wait. Some awesome smack talk. There's going to be some awesome racing. Jeremy's going to throw some crazy, twist to it. Who knows what we're going to get there with track changes or sand or, God knows what with him.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. That's going to be one of the races to watch. So I hope everybody comes to the fence for that one. I hope that my moto's nowhere near it because I want to sit and enjoy that from start to finish, because I just feel like they're just going to take swings at each other and unleash from start to finish.
I would agree. Billy, it's going to be one of those races. And I was on the call at Briarcliff last year for a couple winner take all races. Like, winner take all at the finale is about as good as it gets. So winner take all for a Pro-Am title against two guys that have raced each other for forever and know everything about each other on both of their home tracks, essentially. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, for sure. And there's going to be a bunch of friends and family because it's a close one for them. And I'm really excited to see it because, like Brian said, I hope our moto isn't anywhere near that, so I can go hang out for a bit and really take it all in.
I want to see that from start to finish. I really do. I think it's going to be an amazing race with those guys and everybody else. I mean, who knows? Maybe your boy Buff's going to throw some curveballs. You never know what's going to happen.
He'll be good at Briarcliff for sure, where it's hard packed.
That's what I'm saying. There could be a lot of things. It depends on who shows up, what goes on. We don't know who's going to show up because then with the vet guys coming back, there could be some surprises. Who knows?
Yeah,
you need a Buff Bus T-shirt.
we should make one. I got a little nervous. On Saturday. I thought that I needed to get off the Buff Bus, but and it's so funny. And ringing in my head, Brian, hold on to that thought, but ringing in my head was you guys laughing at me for never having talked to this guy, right? So then on Friday in practice, there was multiple times where I'm out riding and I find myself behind Carter Buff, and he looks back at me multiple times, and I'm sure he was thinking to himself, bro, this guy's got an obsession with me.
Have you still not talked to him?
Still haven't talked to him. No, never got an opportunity to. I didn't. Yeah, never got an opportunity.
That was my question. I was going to ask if you finally talked to this guy.
No, not yet.
Because he's had to have heard these.
Dude, he's got to believe he's got a stalker. I am confident that he's this guy has a crush on me.
At least you didn't go try to talk to him, and then you're just awkwardly standing outside of his trailer.
Hi, Carter.
I don't know if you know me, but I know you.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, I was almost embarrassed for myself when I'm on track on Friday, and I'm I just want to get away from this guy. So he's not what is your problem? But yeah, funny.
That's it.
Funny
I'm going to ask him for a jersey for you at Briarcliff.
I love it, man. Which actually would be fitting because, it's a Thor jersey. That's really where my connection started with him. Then I found out he was a TT guy. So I'm okay, now I love this guy. And then he started winning. So then I got on the Buff Bus. So first moto, so Tying a bow on Pro-Am, Landon Corn went 3-3 in Pro-Am. He was awesome. He put it together, which has been a struggle of late for him, but he put it together to land on the Pro-Am podium on Sunday. Shifting gears to Pro Sport, I was very worried in the first moto that I had stayed on the buff bus for too long. And even, my dad, my crew, they're like, man, it's not a hard pack track. Why are you staying on the buff bus? I am committed to the buff bus at this point. I got to stay on the buff bus. So first moto looking a little shaky, but second moto, a little better. And he ends up 5th overall. So I got some points there. And we talked about how in fantasy, ATV fantasy terms, how I getting any points there with that wild card. And I got 5 points for him finishing 5th. That was really good. So talking about all of Pro Sport, it was absolutely freaking insane how the Pro Sport race played out, because
our boy Andrix.
Yes, Andrix Bieland ends up going 5-1 for the overall. And I said to Billy, as we're watching this play out, I'm like, how often does a 5-1 actually end up winning an overall at an ATV National, at a national event? Please. Very, 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 very seldom does that ever happen. But Andrix Bieland went out there and claimed, and he was ripping at the end of the first moto, but ends up claiming this thing after, basically a wire-to-wire victory in the second moto. He goes out and owns this thing. And I'm sure there's no chance he's thinking he's going to win the overall when he crosses the finish line. And sure enough, 5-1 is good enough to get the job done, Billy. Unreal.
Yes. Yeah, it was super cool. And again, just like I stated after Pleasure Valley, it's so cool to see him come back from that injury and just fall right back. I don't even want to say right back where he was. I think he's riding better than he was before that.
Yeah.
And to see, he was excited, and to see his dad so excited, and Chad, and just the whole program, and that group of people, I really enjoy hanging around. So it was cool to see them all as excited as they were. But man, that second moto, he was on the gas. It looked really good.
Chad said the same thing to me, Brian, how impressive it is for such a young kid. He was on a 250 last year, such a young kid. He misses a major chunk of the middle of the season with this really gnarly injury. Chad's like, we just wanted him to get back out here and do a little racing. And he's kind of becoming the class of the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's an amazing rider. I feel like every time he goes out, he's probably getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And that was very impressive. And it's a great story. That's a great story for him. Great success. He has all the right people in his corner and helping out. So, that's a wonderful story to follow. And as well as he's been riding, he deserves that. So he put in the work, and it's showing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Stout little dude too. And he amazing program, obviously.
Yeah.
I think very highly of the program. You can look at their machines and the way that they go about their business. Going to be a hard program to beat. Looking forward to years to come too. So credit to Andrix there. 5-1 for the overall in Pro Sport. Andrew Klutwick went 2-5 for second overall. So kind of same thing. You don't cross the finish line in fifth very often and think you're going to end up with a second overall. So credit to him. That was awesome. Siler Poduznak is one of the guys that was consistent on the day. Goes 4-4 for third overall. So he was the fantasy pick. I don't know. People would have obviously picked him, but I don't think that nobody had like the perfect team. Jaden Schiffer ends up 4th overall. So he got 10 points fantasy purposes, and Carter Buff ended up 5th overall for 5. Brian, who did you have in fantasy?
I think I had Klutwick.
I believe I had Klutwick too.
Because I was quite sure, Brian, that you and the others that tied had Joel, had Brandon, had Mason, had Noah, and that would have been the perfect pro team. Had Fryer, so had that spoiler. That's the perfect WMX, pick. And then the guys that won, you guys that won, had the perfect team plus 10 points. So it would have either been Klutwick or Schiffer. So nobody had that perfect pro and WMX team, and then had Poduznak, because there would have been a lot of points to be had there if you could have nailed it. For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. As a proud member of Team Valvoline for nearly a decade, I have witnessed their unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of performance. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names times in motorsports, solidifying their position as a powerhouse within the industry. Being a part of this historically great team has been an incredible privilege. When it comes to my equipment, whether it's my daily commuting vehicles, race quads, or anything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline. Their range of products and lubricants consistently deliver increased horsepower, durability, and engine life. I'm excited to announce Valvoline's breakthrough in performance, Valvoline Ultimate Power Sports. With up to 8 times stronger rust protection and 50% better wear protection, this cutting-edge formula ensures your ATV's engine runs smoother and longer for the ultimate ride. Tackle rugged terrains with confidence knowing your ATV's engine is equipped with the best protection available. Ready to experience the next level of performance? Head over to shop.valvolineglobal.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 at checkout to unlock an exclusive 10% off on your purchase. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to enhance your ATV's performance with Valvoline's Ultimate Power Sports engine oil.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATV MX podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheeled racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen, plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer. Products ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Headlined by the 4130 Chromoly, Launderville Steel and Concrete Supply is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products. This racing family-owned full metal service center and concrete product supplier comes with over 30 years of experience serving the entire United States from their central Midwest location. As the #1 choice for nationwide shipments and with available next-day delivery in select areas, LSE has you covered near or far. 4130 is not just the chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for an array of motorsports applications, but it is also the name of the newest addition to the pro paddock with riders Jaden JJ Launderville and Max Lindquist, introducing the new 4130 Motorsports team. Launderville Steel offers a large selection of material for any project, including their concrete division that can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. For a quote or more info, visit laundervillesteel.com today or give them a call at 715-675-6193. That's 715-675-6193. With the desire to keep you in the race, Ultimate Poly Products offers the Ultimate Protection Collection of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Founded on quality in 1998, this family-owned and operated business produces products created by racers for racers. These industry-leading products are proudly made and manufactured in the USA, with their case savers being made of the highest quality American-made polyurethane on the market and designed to completely conform to your engine case to help prevent case damage from a thrown chain, because no one wants to be a spectator on race day. Join top pro riders like Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, John Glotta Jr., Adam McGill, Cole Richardson, and more by using UPP Racing products. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order. Ultimate Poly Products, made to last longer so you can ride more. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. So WMX, Brian, it's your time to shine. WMX, let's go over the WMX stuff, because Lily Plaza really seemed to flex her muscles on this racetrack, despite being on crutches and the whole deal. Couldn't really tell that on the racetrack. I thought maybe we were going to be in for maybe for some good battles like we saw at Pleasure Valley, and then that's really not what we ended up seeing on the racetrack.
No, I was really surprised because, I had said at Pleasure Valley, I really didn't get a chance to see her out and about. So I never got to see it, if she was on crutches or what was going on. This round, I did see her. I'd seen that she had crutches strapped to, I think she was on a bike or something that she was riding around. And I thought, oh, okay, there's definitely something going on. But I will say this, I was in the kind of the same boat that I felt like, that's a rough track. There's going to be a lot of impacts.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult to tough through that. If that track develops with the deep holes or the deep ruts that you're kind of forced to squeeze the bike and kind of ride back and pull up and whatnot. Because I also know about the shoulder and the nerve thing going on.
Okay.
But she ripped some hole shots convincingly. She definitely has a very fast bike.
That thing's a rocket.
It 100% is, because, there was some girls that got the jump, I felt like, and it didn't matter. She just motored on out and got both hole shots pretty convincingly. Some of the other girls, that first turn played a little havoc because, they got in the slop and kind of got pulled out a little bit. And then that drive to the first turn was a little interesting for some of them. But obviously, like I said, spoiler, Lily grabs both hole shots, each moto, and got herself out front. I believe that Lane had a little bit of a battle. She wasn't there in both motos right off the rip. Like, she was close. She was in the front. There would have been her and I believe India was up there again, had some good starts. And I think Shelby was up there with one of them that had a really good start. So, that long straightaway into the sand and then crossing back onto the track, that was one area I noticed that they were a little cautious too, and led to some passing opportunities coming down that start straight right away. But yeah, it was uneventful up front. Unfortunately, Lily was able to put the power down on the straightaways or where, whatever smooth line she found, and was able to solidify a lead and basically keep that. Lane found herself making her way up front, making passes. And I really, to be honest, I expected her, since she rides on the West Coast and the works races and whatnot, kind of being like that. I felt like maybe this would be a track that she could possibly bridge that gap, and there would be a little bit more possible battle with her and Lily. Yeah. But that never really came to fruition. So, but she was solid second place. And then, the battle back beyond them, it's getting more and more intense because, like I said, there's India, there's Allison Klutwick, there's Olivia is in the mix.
And Shelby.
Yeah, Shelby Cabrando's there as well. And all those girls are very close in points.
They're on top of each other. It's like 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. I know that they're that the throw-out has to get factored in there too. But like basically anything can happen at this final race for second, third, fourth, fifth, basically.
I thought it was like second through fourth, second through fifth, that all those girls
between
are right
Fryer, there. Joyner, Cabrando, and Jock or Jaquez or however you say it, Brian.
India Jock. Yeah. That's exactly right. And India's been, I feel like, getting stronger as well as Olivia. Like both of them, it comes down to, I think, their starts. Mm-hmm. Their starts put them in the position for them to be better at the end of that race.
That said, I feel like Olivia Joyner all of a sudden is really coming on, and she has been, and she had been, like she's been getting stronger, all those things. But when she was standing on the podium at the end of the day, I swear to you, I saw her get a horrible start in the first moto. And I couldn't believe, after seeing her get a horrible start and she's taking on Roost and it looked miserable situation that she was in, to end the day on the podium. And she fought to, I think, fourth place finish in the first moto, third in the second moto. You're exactly right. Like that battle for, like you said, second, third, fourth, fifth in the points is absolutely fascinating. And yeah, Briarcliff that's going to be another fun one to watch. Cause Lily's out front. Basically she just has to cruise around or show up or something to wrap up the title. But for my money, that battle going on behind her is going to be the one to watch. And that's why I think that we need to make fantasy,
wild card
reflect that, because it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And those girls are all like peaking at the right time. Yeah. So it's going to come down to, we're going to go to Briarcliff, and it's going to be interesting to see who steps up and does Bigfoot, or who, what other jumps develop there. Cause there's going to be a spoiler alert. There's a couple jumps that popped up there that I was very surprised. So it's going to be interesting who steps up and who wants it more, because it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. I had the same thought, and Billy will let you weigh in on WMX stuff too. But I had the same thought, where I thought that Fryer was going to be really strong at this race, and she was. Like, she's clearly trending in the right direction. I mean, looking at the broad scope of the year, I mean, she in my mind is clearly, the P2 rider at this point. But I thought that she may really have a chance to ruffle Lily's feathers at this race, just being, like you said, being rough and choppy and ruts and potholes and all the things that you get at a sand track. And she was really good. I mean, goes 2-2 on the day. She's awesome, but it just wasn't enough to go up and get Lily.
Yeah. I wonder if she would have got a start right behind Lily, if she could have caught a toe, even in the first moto, to see what Lily was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know I think that track is going to lend itself to Lane, being that she rides out west, but she's still, I think, trying to grasp I don't want to say the speed of our races compared to theirs, but like the sprint factor or whatever you want to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the hardest thing for her to, it's only been a season. So I wish she would have got the start right behind Lily, and then maybe could have, like I said, caught a toe and see what happens. Yeah.
So that's what had me going to the fence, thinking we might see a little bit of more of what we saw at Pleasure Valley, but that's just not the way it played out. So the finale is going to be really fun to watch in the WMX class too, to see what's going on behind Lily there for that race for second and third in the championship. Guys, one last thing, and Brian, I'll start with you on this because you're the one that brought it to my attention, that we need to cover the 250 class a little bit more after some conversations that happened at the racetrack there, the youth all-star class, 250 mod schoolboy senior. And I instantly was like, yes, we need to. I know to be frank, I did a better job just covering all of the classes, just a touch, standouts from the weekend in things in the past when I had just a little bit more time to dedicate to these shows. But yes, the 250 classes, I guess we kind of huddled on this before we hit record on this episode, but we're seeing it with Siler Produznak. We're seeing it obviously with Andrix Bieland. We're seeing it, these kids, and it's a tale as old as time. Go back to Dane Molander getting off a 250 and going right to pro sport and, winning. It's a tale as old as time now that we're seeing these 250 kids go right to the top of the amateur classes. So they do deserve coverage. I've always looked at it because a couple of the 250 kids, JJ Launderville being one of them, have won our Digging Deep Rising Star Award, because I look at it as an opportunity to introduce these kids to, and Siler Produznak won it last year. It's an opportunity for these young kids to I like to kind of introduce them, because there's a lot of people that listen to our shows and follow the racing and play fantasy that maybe don't pay a ton of attention to the 250 classes. So I do want to cover them, and they deserve the credit. And I think that this is a fun weekend to talk about it, because between the 3 250 classes, there was 3 different overall winners, Brian. So you can kind of let listeners know where this came from, and then we can touch on the 250 class.
Yeah. I'll jump into this, and 100% right. I totally get, like how I remember listening to you, and you touching base with all the classes, and you made a point to talk about the 250 all-star class, and, with very good reason. Cause like you said, these guys are graduating straight to A, straight to Pro-Am, they're making an impact right away. And with that being said, Drew Wolford, just so everybody knows, was the first person to pull the trigger on the big jump, and he's on a 250. Number 72 on the 250 pulled the trigger first, and he's been riding great all year. Shot up like a beanstalk. This kid been riding great. Another one, Michael, has been a standout, ripping some holes.
Colin Michael.
Been riding really, really good. And of course, Styles West, riding and winning and looking like polished already. I mean, these guys could legitimately next year, jump into whatever class they wanted and probably, make an impact and a big splash. These guys deserve a lot of credit, coverage, and praise because they're the up and comers. So it's definitely not, on purpose, no neglect or anything like that. It's just there's been so much coverage and so many things going on, but they definitely deserve to be recognized and brought to the forefront for what they do. And if you guys haven't watched them throughout the course of the day or the weekend, definitely get to the fence and watch these guys because they are animals and they hang it all out there. Like there's everything. There's wrecks, there's battles, there's back and forths, there's crazy starts. Like these guys go for it. They really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Bummed for Styles West for the weekend that, this is the weekend we're talking about the 250 classes for the first time really in 2026 on the show, a weekend where nothing went right for him. It seemed like, I know he's the point leader in at least two of the classes. I think two of the classes, and maybe he's got one wrapped up already.
I was going to say something's wrapped up already.
He's wearing the number one. Exactly. You're privy to the same thought I had, but yeah, in a leader, if nothing else, having won one at least, if not two, leader in the other one if it's not wrapped up. And I believe Drew Wolford is going to be the leader in the 250 mod class. But it looks tight. Again, you never know how the throats and stuff play out here. But right now on paper, Wolford has 135, Cornell has 132, and Colin Michael is sitting with 127. So like you could very much have a national championship hanging in the balance at this finale in the 250 mod class. So that's a fun thing to think about. But at Baja there, Drew Wolford goes 1-1 in Youth All-Star. Ethan Cornell goes 2-1 in 250 mod, and Jackson Hancock goes 2-1 for the overall in schoolboy senior. So like I said, kind of a cool thing because there's been a lot of years where, last year we saw Siler Poduznak win like every moto but three all season long. Andrix Bieland was the guy shadowing him at every race. And so to have a race here where there's a different winner in all the 250 classes, that doesn't happen a ton. And that's a cool thing. But guys, with that, there's just one race remaining in this 2026 season, which is unreal. It's hard to believe that we're even at this point. So Briarcliff, one that all of us circle on the calendar every year for an array of different reasons. Jeremy's the best. He tries so hard. He does all the special things. We've talked about that. Brian's highlighted that on this show and others. Jeremy always rolls out the best racetrack that he can for us. The whole deal, man. It's awesome. The special things mid-season, we were starting to hint at this vet invitational thing that's going on, Pro-Am Vet Invitational inaugural event. So that's going to be a cool thing to think about. But yeah, as excited as I am, I'm bummed that it's all of a sudden already the finale here for this 2026 season. But Brian, Briarcliff 2026, one race remaining. What are you most looking forward to going into the finale?
Man,
across the board, could be anything.
Well, I know it's going to be a fun-filled, event-packed weekend. I was going to say, I don't know if you guys have seen the post. I seen the thing like the Stasic race. I seen the 88 Live to Ride auction that's going to be going on. Obviously, the 90 race, the costume contest, and I'm sure he's thrown out all kinds of other possibilities. We know the T-shirt cannon's going to be going off. Sure. We know about the Vet Invitational race, the possible Plinko thing, and I think he said something about for you golfers closest to the pin.
Oh, they're going to do that? Okay.
And all of that will go to 88 Live to Ride, if I'm not mistaken. You never know with Jeremy, whatever he can fit in, he's going to fit it in. And, the bigger, crazier idea, the better it is. So, but I'm just looking forward to, honestly, to having a great finale. I'm looking forward to hopefully a great racetrack, everybody showing up, having a good time, great weather, and us being able to tie a bow on a great year and walk out of there looking forward to the next year and things to come. Obviously there's going to be some championships that we're all going to be watching and waiting to see what happens, what occurs there. Obviously that Pro-Am race, Ohio boys, that's going to be intense. Yeah. So, I got a lot on my plate, the whole shot awards. And, that's another thing. I know that Jeremy got some more sponsors and all those amounts went way up. So I'm really hoping that all of this comes together and we have a great finale.
Can we pick the 25 plus class for your whole shot money? Come on, Brian.
So what I'm hoping that with all those sponsors coming on, what I was thinking, what would be really cool is I'll have to look and see what classes haven't been picked yet. But if we can get enough sponsors to, at the very least, do like all the first motos of the ones that haven't been picked yet on Saturday, that would be pretty cool. So I might have to get on the horn and do some advertising and some groundwork to see if I can make something like that happen. Because I don't think there's a lot. I think there's probably, I don't know, maybe 4 classes. But I have to go check. I got to look at my wheel and see what's left.
Well, Billy and I know that 25 plus has not been picked, which is
I know it has.
cool.
I really, to be honest, it was so funny because I talked to Brooke and we were laughing at the race because she's like, if you guys talk about the plus 25 class, you're going to have to be the one that talks about it because these two are going to be so partial to what, everything that happens. I was like, oh my God, if there's a battle, I'll have to be the mediator.
No, here's the deal. I told Billy after the weekend, I feel like we botched it. I feel like Billy and I botched it. That's how I feel. I feel like we were sitting on the line. You said, okay, boys, make some good content. And then I feel like we both botched it. And to give you a little glimpse into this. So first moto, I just about take us both out on the start. I thought Billy and I were both going for a ride. Then I end up blowing multiple corners. I end up letting Andrew Hartwell.
Yeah.
So I said to my family after the fact, I feel like over the course of those 2 motos, I saved up like 10 years worth of mistakes and made them all in 2 motos.
Same.
So I blew corners. I'm up on 2 wheels. I'm getting stuck in berms in the first moto. Andrew Hartwell wins the moto. Credit to him.
I pulled the start, and I think at one point I was in 4th for like a half a lap or something. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh, no. I was standing with Chad. And when you guys came around, you were in first. And Billy, like he said, he was back to like 4th, I think. And I'm like, what happened? Because Billy was in front and Cody was behind him, I thought, or they were battling. And I was like, now Billy's in the back. Cody's out front. Like, what happened? What's going on? He goes, Billy got the whole shot. I was like, I thought he did.
I thought I was going to take us both out like bowling pins.
You came in there hot.
And I got kicked sideways. And then I went into your line. And like I said, my conscious thought was that we were both going to be flipping and there was going to be Brian's content that he was looking for. Then Moto 2, you rip another great hole shot and you got hole shotted by Justin Canterbury. Justin Canterbury rips the hole shot. And I told you later, like that dude goes like a raped ape early in those motos, man. So he's going out front and I end up taking a dirt sample, a couple laps in, second lap, I think there.
Was that in the turn after the downhill stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I came in too hot into the inside and ended up like landing into the berm and just fell off. But Billy had just made the pass. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to, pull up next to this guy. I thought I was going to make the pass there. I'm going to go with Billy and, we'll go do our thing. And that was all for naught. So then I run, a 2-minute, 25-second lap time. I'm way in the back. So Billy crosses the finish line and I'm like keeping tabs on these guys because I got up to 4th or 5th or something, but I'm keeping tabs on these guys. And I know Billy's leading most all the moto. I assume Billy wins the moto. So after, we cross the finish line, Billy's still sitting there. I say to Billy, buddy, you won the overall. Yeah, he didn't win the overall because he didn't win the moto. So I'm like, yeah, we botched it. Neither of us were able to get the job done. What the hell?
Billy had the lead and would stretch it every lap because he was doing the big double.
Yeah.
And the other guys had all stopped. So he would stretch it. And then when he quit, like the last 2 laps, maybe 3, that was when that guy slowly started catching up to him.
My guy had a burnt up clutch. It
She didn't have it no more. Once it started slipping, I'm like, I'm not jumping that thing.
And I can vouch for it's not that fun to case because I'm pretty sure I cased it every lap of the first moto.
The first moto, we did a side by side that first lap.
God.
Both of us shorted it.
I'm like, so it's funny that I landed into that berm one corner later in Moto 2 and my hand came off the bars and I took a dirt sample because all I was thinking as I was in the air on that first lap of the first moto was don't blow my hands off the bars. Don't blow my hands off the bars when I land this thing. And I had so many people say to me, wow, you came up a little short there on the first lap. I'm like, yeah, I was pinned. Okay. I was pinned from the inside. I was doing my best.
You weren't the only one, Cody.
Yeah. So anyways, Billy and I botched it. Hopefully it goes better at Briarcliff and hopefully I don't take Billy out at the start of either moto there.
Well, thanks to Jeremiah Jones and Hinson, I now have some new clutches. Axle is still definitely bent, but new clutches.
So is mine. So after casing that middle double every lap of the first moto on Saturday night, I put the thing in first gear and let it spin there, and it's it's not good. So I'm like, well, if maybe I come up short on Sunday and it'll just balance it out. It'll straighten itself out a little bit. It won't be the first time. Billy, what are you most looking forward to there at Briarcliff after all that fun? All that fun.
I think just like Brian said, just enjoying the weekend with friends and you guys, and hopefully we can all park together and just enjoy the weekend. But as far as racing goes, I think Pro-Am has got to be it. I'm kind of pumped about that.
Yeah, I think everybody should be stoked for what we're going to see on Sunday in Pro-Am for that championship battle.
My homie Noah up there, got to get it done.
Yeah, should be fun. Joey Norris, I mean, you have to assume that. I mean, the dude's going to get good starts. I think he did win the whole shot challenge there at Baja, right? So we got to mention that. He's got that little trophy in his corner there going into, Pro-Am and some of the things there at the finale. But yeah, Briarcliff should be awesome. It's going to be an experience like I've never had before, trying to announce and race. It's going to be a lot to juggle there, but yeah, it should be awesome. I'm excited to see how some of these battles are going to go and then to be on track to enjoy it. Cause last few years, I've had to just sit there and take it all in and watch you guys all have your fun. And, so hopefully, I
didn't have much fun last year.
You did for like a lap or two. It looked like it was going to go really good, but you lived to see another day. And now we're going back with a YFZ.
Are you racing a 2-stroke?
I was hoping to run it. I was talking to Binky and, I was trying to get one of his and, it's missing a couple parts. So I don't think we're going to be able to make it happen, but I thought that would have been cool to do it again because I had a blast on that thing when I wasn't almost dying.
Well, any listeners out there that want to donate a 2-stroke to Billy's program, you know how to get a hold of the guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Baja was epic. Everything about it was awesome. I couldn't wait to talk about it. It was fun to talk to Brandon and get that glimpse into how his deal was there. Joel wraps up the title, all the things. It's going to be a weekend that we never forget. And I would think that if things go chalk and go as expected, Briarcliff is going to be just as epic as it always is.
Yeah.
Jeremy knows how to do it big and knows how to make it not just another event. And we've talked about that so many times, but it's never just another national when you go to Briarcliff. It's truly an event. And that's something that I really appreciate. And it's going to be a fun weekend. Can't wait.
As long as the weather's good, I think everything else will be amazing.
I agree with that.
Agreed. Well, guys, here we are. When we sit down to do this next, season will be over. So that's something that I don't really want to think about right now. So hopefully we can cherish this last one and we'll see how it all plays out. And then we'll get back together to talk about it. But once again, can't thank you guys enough. I knew that this was going to be a fun one. Billy had something come up last weekend, and that's why actually Brandon was going to join us. It was going to be a 4-person panel. We were going to be able to talk to Brandon. So we got to get that conversation out, and there was no chance, Billy, that we were going to have this conversation without you, especially have us all at the racetrack. Me almost take us out and the whole deal. Like I needed to have.
I almost took you out in the start on the second one.
That was like a kiss. That was like a kiss, tire to tire kiss compared to me balling us just about out of the entire picture. So thankfully that didn't go any worse, but there was no chance we were doing this episode without you, pal. We had the trio we had the trio together there at the racetrack, and looking forward to more of exactly that coming from Briarcliff.
Sounds good.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome, boys. Well, again, thanks for all your time. As always, Brian, we'll get your shirt in the mail for winning your fantasy event there at Baja. But again, guys, can't thank you enough. Have a great night. And before we know it, we'll be on our way to Briarcliff to do it one more time.
Sounds good.
Can't wait to see you guys there.
All right, fellas. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for everything. And as Billy Cottage and Brian Jenkins sign off on yet another episode, the finale is upon us. How are we already here? Before we wrap things up, one last shout out is deserved. We want to make sure we mention Blair Miller, who took the Pro Sport class by storm, winning the opening moto and then leading early in Moto 2 before a mechanical issue unfortunately ended his day prematurely. We couldn't let this episode end without making sure Blair got his mention. Major thanks to this week's featured guests, Billy Cottage and Brian Jenkins. Thanks to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to my wife, Brooke, and thanks to AMA officials Joe Messina and Harv Whipple. Thanks to all of our donors, and a special shout out to Moto Moms Designs for doing all of our shooting at the races. Thanks so much, Megan. You're the best. Thanks to all of our partners, CST Tires. Go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, DP Brakes, and Ultimate Poly Products. UPP Racing, use code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com. Support all the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click that Rocky Mountain HVMC banner for all your gear and parts needs and to help us out. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. Shop our Digging Deep merch at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com. We'll, of course, have merch with us at Briarcliff. Find all things Digging Deep ATV Fantasy related at atvfantasy.com. And congrats to our penultimate round winners. Right Now Racing, Wheels Up, shout out to Brian Jenkins, Washed Up Local 42, and Valone Racing. If you're looking for another easy way to help support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content, coverage, and more fun stuff as we are within days of the 2026 season finale. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com. So check that out today. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Billy Cottage, Brian Jenkins, Brooke Jansen, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Thanks for listening to and making us the most listened to podcast in ATV racing, with more than 304,000 downloads last month in 151 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quadlers are freaking gnarly.